So the next question, why did I name a journey to easier and lighter? Um, so the easier and lighter part comes from Matthew 11, verses 28 through 30. Let me just read those. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Um, so that verse really just, it sounded like everything that I needed, that I was looking for in my healing process. I was really like the opposite of everything that I had. Like this, I know that the ideal of a yoke is for two things tied together by a machine or by a contraption that keeps them going and moving in the same direction. And so in that were just a couple of promises that I received, like one that God would never leave me, um, and that I wouldn't be alone. And there are a lot of times when I default to isolation. When I'm stressed, when I'm nervous, when I'm dealing with things, I default to handling things on my own and going into my own mind and escaping into my own thoughts. And so to have a God that says, no, I want you yoked and moving with me. It sounded like love. Um, it sounded like direction and guidance, but not a forced, a gentle nudge, a gentle direction. Like only go as far and as fast and as hard as you can go along with me. Um, and so when I read those words, it was just like things can get easier, things can get lighter, and it won't happen necessarily overnight, but things can get better. And so I was just leaning into that promise because I did feel weary and burdened. Um, so why did I call it a journey? I know there's some people who have like these testimonies where they got saved and things just dropped off immediately. Not my story, not my testimony at all. Things came in steps and increments. And I think even in that, there's grace. I was reading C.S. Lewis' book, and he writes in a book called The Pilgrim Regress, about this man who's trying to get to this island that kind of represents the kingdom of God, and it's really only across a brook that's really close to him, but he ends up going in the completely opposite direction. Um, and when he's finally brought back, and he realizes where he wanted to go, the whole time was only you know, right across the brook from him, right a few minutes from him. His guide says, God still took you the shortest way around. What it took for you to be willing to cross that brook, like all those places that you went, all those things you experienced, like you needed all of those just to be willing to cross that brook. And so it was the shortest route that you could take. And so this idea that all of our journeys are different, is I think it's true in God. All of our journeys are different. All the ways in the past that He takes us across healing is not going to be exactly the same for any and everybody. And I think He's taking us as fast as we allow Him to take us. And if I'm honest, I've I've been the cause of the healing journey a lot of times. I think what abuse, and I don't want to say taught, but I guess maybe kind of put into me early was that you can't trust power. Um, that once you give away power, the person who is empowered will abuse that power. Especially when abuse comes from someone not only empowered, but someone that you love. And then you meet a God who you love, and it was all powerful, and you have all these words like, if I mess up, is God just looking for a chance to, get rid of me or make me feel bad and he's not. Like that's the thing about the yoke, right? It goes back to the yoke and the journey that he's leading me towards better. Um, in this journey and this yoke, this promise that it's not only easy, I think that's a promise that wherever he's taking me, that something in me truly desires it. Like the most transformed part of me, the most godlike part of me will find joy in where he's taking me. Like this, imagine how in tune you have to be for a yoke to feel right, for a yoke to be easy, like how much you have to desire where you're going and what you're doing for a yoke to feel easy and light. Like that's not natural unless you're enjoying what you're being yoked to. And so it's like this promise that I could delight in him and find joy in him, and that he was with me through this journey wherever it took, whether it's going forward or sometimes going backwards or in circles. Um, that wherever God took me on this journey, that it was all for my healing, and it's been the shortest route that He could take me on with my issues and my concerns and my quirks and my hesitations and my reluctancies, and coming in and changing all that and continuing on this journey with me. And so that's kind of where the ideal of journey to easier ladder came from. Just this ideal of God, I need you to walk me through this healing process. And he has been patient and he has been gentle. But he's always been nudging. He hasn't left me in one spot. And I never think he does. I don't think like there is a standing still um in God. Like either you're being pushed backwards or you're actively fighting. And so because we're not always stronger than what's trying to push us. We need that yoke. We need that thing that ties us to God, knowing that okay, if He's moving, then I can move with Him because He's bearing the brunt of the wind. Um, and so yeah, that's where the title came from. Journey to easier and lighter. Peace.